You know,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think back and I was jumping off the top rope down on the floor, and now I can't jump from the bed to get up in the mornings. You know.
Yeah. You feel so numb. It feels like you're just, it's like you can't even move at all. Yeah. It's like,
and my balance is off too. So,
yeah, I've
I mean,
fallen
I
like
can
that
take 3 or
before.
4 steps,
Mm-hmm.
or I can actually take steps if I have like the walls to lean against, or somebody's arm to hold, whatever. I don't need to put all my pressure on them, but it's sometimes I think it's almost a mental thing also. You know, that I feel I've got to have some kind of a support, even if it's just touching something, whatever. I'm
Oh,
okay.
absolutely.
But I'm
Yes.
standing with nothing around me.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I go.
You guys ready to roll?
Absolutely.
Always, baby,
Let's do it.
Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
It's Thursday night, and Amelia, that means only one thing.
What's the buzz time?
It is time for What's the Buzz podcast. Hey, everybody, it's your friend Mad Dog DeCipio, Angelo the Mad Dog DeCipio, joined as I am each and every week by Amelia, the Pitbull Chapman. How you doing, kid? What kind of day did you have?
I had an interesting and a great day. I think I helped somebody today.
Good for you. We have a very familiar face with us tonight.
I think he looks very familiar.
Oh, you know, brother. This is not, if you're thinking, well, holy shit, how did they get Hulk Hogan? We have some connections, but not that good. This is my friend.
But not like that.
This is my friend Randy Hogan. He is a retired pro wrestler. Randy is regarded generally as the country's premier Hulk Hogan lookalike. And you'd be hard-pressed to argue with that point.
Let me tell you something, brother. I got one thing to say. I'm not a Hulk Hogan lookalike. I'm 3 years older than him, which makes him a Randy Hogan lookalike.
Absolutely. He looks like you. That's right. He looks like you. So, listen, Randy, we got a hell of a show tonight, brother. You came on a good night.
Oh,
yeah. It sounds, man. It sounds it. I love talking about the freaky deakies. Let me tell you.
Oh, man, I got some freaky deaky for you tonight. Here's what for those of you who've been following, and apparently you have been following, because we get the responses and the emails, and I'll tell you what, it is remarkable how many people watch the show. It really is. The show that we did on Charles Manson is still getting responses. It's still getting responses. And that was what, like 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago, yes.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago. And we're still getting responses. There's something about Charles Manson that I don't know what it is, but he just pushes the buttons with people and they can't help but say something. We have another really interesting guy that we did Tuesday night, Jim Jones, Jonestown. What a character Jim Jones was. Well, tonight we might one up that. Maybe we might one up that.
I don't know about that.
Well, I don't know. It's pretty hard to one up Jim Jones. Yeah.
Yep.
But if there's anybody who can, well, yeah, you better behave yourself. Yeah.
I don't know. That kind of freaks me out still because.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. We have a guy tonight. His name's Marshall Applewhite, and Marshall Applewhite is largely regarded as the father of Heaven's Gate. Now, Heaven's Gate is a strange cult. It's probably the most bizarre, or one of the most bizarre of the contemporary religious cults. And they do consider themselves a religion. You can't. It's a funny thing. We're going to talk about that night. We actually spoke about it the other night with Pastor Steve that was here. Pastor Steve Kwiatkowski from Union Church in Clementon, New Jersey, joined us. And he had an interesting perspective on cults and cult leaders. They set themselves up as God. And certainly Marshall Applewhite, a loser by every account, was a good enough talker. He should have been in the wrestling business. He was a good enough talker that he cut a promo that people latched onto. He really, really did. And we're going to learn a little bit about this. Actually, we're going to learn quite a lot about this. This group called Heaven's Gate. Let me give everybody, as I always do every week, I want to give everybody a little background. But before I do, I want to go to you, Amelia.
Yes.
And tell me, when did you first become aware of Heaven's Gate? How did you hear about Marshall Applewhite and his crazy crew?
I think it was more toward because I didn't really know of him until I got a lot older, because you know, because I was born in the 70s, as you know. And the outfits that they wore, they had to wear these outfits in the comics, and what they had to be wearing. And of course the comet was they were gonna write this comet, and I'm like,
tell everybody what this is, what she's talking about is very bizarre. They all had to wear the same shoes, the same clothing. They had to eat the same food. They had to all eat together. And whatever Marshall Applewhite ate, they had to eat.
And whatever he wore to die with, and what shoes he had to wear. And I'm not going to promote the shoes because I don't believe in that brand, but that's a different story. For another show. But they all had to wear that outfit, because if they didn't, then they weren't going to be in the same heaven. They weren't going to be in the same ship, and they weren't going to ride the same comet. Basically.
Yeah, Randy, what do you know about Heaven's Gate and Marshall Applewhite?
Well, I researched him a bit, especially today. He seemed like a pretty normal kid. Got through high school and everything, went in the service, got married, and then he got mixed up with this woman.
I like the way he said woman.
Yes, you're right here. Okay.
You mean Bonnie?
Yeah.
Bonnie Nettles?
That's it. Anyways, now she was really a whack job herself first.
Yo, boy.
So I don't know how it happened that they ended up getting together, other than she was a spiritual nurse.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Randy, because I found out some background, and I'm going to explain tonight how they got together. It was as old as time itself. Mutual attraction, that's how people fall in love. Mutual attraction, but they also fall in love over mutual idealism. That's the whole thing behind communism. It's that, we all do the same thing. We all think alike. We all act alike. And it's a dangerous precedent. It really is. Let me give everybody a little heads up. Heaven's Gate was a religious group founded in the U.S. on the belief in unidentified flying objects. The group was known by a variety of names before it was Heaven's Gate, including the Human Individual Metamorphosis, Bo and Peep. There's an original fucking one for you. And Total Overcomers Anonymous. Now, the group advocated extreme self-renunciation to the point of castration for both male and female. It first went to, for real. We're going to talk about it tonight, too. We got a lot to go over. It burst into the public consciousness following the suicide of 39 of its members in the suburban areas. Actually, it was a mansion in San Diego, California in 97. They lived in a $40 million mansion. I want people to understand what I'm talking about. They weren't a bunch of crazies. They came from money. These people all came from money, big money. Marshall Applewhite, don't ask me how he did it, but he managed to swing buying a $40 million mansion. And I want to tell you how he did it tonight. What they did is they found a way to pioneer the internet in the early days, and they just went crazy with merch. It's every wrestling promoter's dream.
Love it.
You know? It's all, Randy, it's all about the merch table.
That's it.
Well,
they make more money. A lot of the wrestling stars now make more money in merchandise than they do in their salaries.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, they do.
And that's what Marshall Applewhite figured out early on. That he figured, hey, you know what? We don't have to really bust our back to make some money. We got this tool here called the internet, and they set up stores, online stores, and they made a fortune in products and merch, goods and services. It was just bizarre. Founder Marshall H. Applewhite, born 1932, died 1997, and Bonnie Nettles, passed in 1985, met in 1972 and soon became convinced that they were the two end-time witnesses mentioned in Revelations 11. Now, let's talk about that. You mentioned, how did they meet? They met over this crazy idealism. That's how they fell in love, over idealism. Not necessarily that they liked each other. That happened afterward. What happened first was the spark was one crazy meeting another crazy, and they created this fire, and boy, did they create some fire.
All right.
Shit. I want everybody to take a look at something. We're going to take a look at something right now. This is, by the way, before we do anything, let me just run this. I want to thank NBC and ABC News for the use of these clips. Without them, we could not do the show tonight. Check this out, guys.
Now, at the end of the age, I'm afraid I feel is right upon us.
This is the biggest cult story in the country.
This was a voluntary situation. They may or may not have been influenced, but we'll never know that. But at this point, this is considered a mass suicide investigation.
Tiendo gave us the tools to brainwash ourselves. Literally wash out our humanness from our brains.
The basic idea of Heaven's Gate was that...
Did you hear what he said, Randy?
I sure did.
We're going to talk about that. And it's
the brain. Old school brainwashing.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that. And I wanted to stop it there because I wanted to make sure everybody all of us heard the same thing.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
That you would chemically and biologically transform your body, becoming a next level alien. And then you would physically get on board the UFO, which would sail off into heaven.
It says Heaven's Gate away team.
39 to beam up.
Are you filming this? No.
Everybody wants to think, oh, those are those crazy people. I would never do that.
Do I look brainwashed? Yeah.
Not so fast. They were well educated, often from very good families.
Me, a 10-year-old, I didn't believe that. And I would never, ever speak to them again.
I am well and safe as of now. That was code.
When you coming home? I never.
T and Do were paranoid and constantly on the move. And the FBI said there's really not much we can do about this group.
Do said we're going to proceed doing the castration. Who's going to go first?
Do exactly as I say, and you will not know death.
By killing themselves, they ensured their immortality.
They signed out, hasta la vista, baby.
People say, who do you think you are?
Is this a cult if I ever heard one? Yes, it is. It's a cult. I mean, it's the cult of cults. We'll see you in our next session.
That's crazy shit. Did you hear what he said? That one guy. By the way, you saw him today and you saw him then. He survived. Actually, 3 people survived that cult. He said they drained me of my humanity. That's what he said. Complete and total brainwashing, like Randy pointed out.
Right.
Utter and total brainwashing to the point of surrendering what they called your vessel, your body, surrendering your vessel to the mothership. Now, I believe in UFOs too, but I'm not willing to lay down my life and die for one.
Not and to become an alien.
That's crazy.
Right.
Randy, what did you glean from that?
Well, in thinking about that, I try to bring it into modern terms, modern days. Okay. I believe that there's something out there. I think all religions do a certain amount of brainwashing to us all. You know, when you're a kid, you go to church, to Sunday school with mom and dad, whether you're a Catholic, a Baptist, whatever, okay? And you're raised up. And so as you get older, you turn into a Catholic or a Baptist, whatever.
Yeah.
Now, in most cases, some people shy away from that, but in most cases, it's a brainwashing. It started when you were young. Just like they teach people to talk. They teach you to think a certain way. Yeah. Some of us haven't gone off the deep end. I'm not an atheist, okay? But I'm not a hardcore believer. I believe you take the Bible where the 7 days to make the earth and all this kind of stuff. Well, it never said that maybe he didn't make another earth somewhere else, or whatever else. There are too many people over the last 75 years that I know of that are reporting seeing these strange flying objects. Okay. They can't all be nuts. There's got to be something. Now the government, what is it? Out in New Mexico, Area 52, supposedly nobody can get in there. Nobody can get around there. Rumors keep going and going and going about these things coming to Earth.
Yeah.
And so many people, like these cult members, they're looking for something.
Oh boy.
Prevalent today, there's something missing that they're looking for. And these gurus that are sweet talkers and everything else grab into that. They grab into that part of their brain and tell them, hey, this is the way. And eventually, like little kids, they start believing that.
Well, I'll tell you what, brother, you're right in line with what Pastor Steve Kwiatkowski told us the other night. They're generally people of all walks of life that are missing some component in their life. Whether they're lonely, whether they're too smart for their own good, they can't relate to other people. There's always that element of, I don't fit in here. Maybe I'll fit in here.
Yes.
And that's what the pastor spoke to us about. And by the way, this is a very forward-thinking pastor. He would absolutely agree with you that perhaps God did make another Earth somewhere. Perhaps there is we know that if we look at Mars and we look at all these other planets, there is life on these planets. It's not human life, but it's life. Nonetheless, it's breathing and living and moving. So that's life. But that's a whole nother show. But it's the basis. But for what we're doing, though, because these people felt like there was a sufficient life source enough to leave this life to go to. So, Amelia, you've been reading a lot about this.
Yes.
Give me your inside take on this here.
Yeah, I mean, because these people, like you were saying, they belonged with him and they believed his word. And there they belonged with someone. They belonged as a family. They were treated like a family.
Yeah.
And they, ate like a family. They read and they sang together. Basically, they were like one big happy family and they belonged to
It's
somebody.
exactly what it was.
Yeah.
Like Randy said a moment ago.
Yeah. And
they wanted to fit in somewhere.
And they finally found someone and with him. And they thought, okay, well, this is like our dad and she's going to be like our mom. And we finally found somebody that we could fit in. We're like one big happy family. We're not the Waltons, but we're going to be together. We might going to have problems. We're going to go out and do our jobs. We can come back home. We're going to have a home to come to, and we're going to have beds to sleep in and talk and laugh and actually sit around a table and talk about our day. Otherwise, the other families that we had, we probably didn't. We were probably beaten or not talked to, or loners. And here we can actually have somebody that can love us. And that's what they believed, because like he said, do as I say and you will not die. And that's what he drilled in them every single time. Do as I say, like a dad.
That's absolutely critical. Because the one thing, and Randy, just to bring you up to speed, we've been doing over the last several weeks, we've been doing the psychology of cult behavior. To the point where we actually had a psychiatrist, two of them, in fact, Dr. Ellie Diani and Dr. Anthony Tobia, on the show, talking about the
mindset,
the brain element of all of this, the physical brain element of all this. How a serial killer thinks, how a cult leader thinks.
Right.
Dr. Diani is a cult specialist, and she's actually studying forensic psychiatry, is what she wants to do. She's actually a third-year medical student now, so we wish her well.
Right.
And shout out to Dr. Tobia. How you doing, Anthony? But here's the thing about this. There's always this element of, in every cult, in every religious sect, there's the element of power, control, sexuality, for lack of a better term, open relationships. If you could just look at Charles Manson for that one, because everybody was sleeping with everybody. Look at Jim Jones. He slept with half of his congregation.
And some of them
no
were boys.
wonder he had syphilis of the brain. He did. He ended up, thankfully, God was merciful. He shot himself in the head. Thank goodness. Otherwise, could you see a madman like that alive today? Do you know that right now, according to the FBI, there are more than 100,000 cults around the world that are doing what they did and then some? And we have Randy, brother, I got to fill you in on something, and you're going to be part of it. We're going to do a show. I got to shake my head. I have to laugh when I even talk about this woman. Amelia knows where I'm going. She knows where I'm going with this one.
Yes, I do.
Amy Carlson.
Oh, dear.
You've probably never heard of her name before. Amy Carlson went from working at a Burger King. The manager at a Burger King to within a year being the cult leader of more than 8 million followers around the world. How does that happen? We're going to find out. And I got some video, brother, I'm going to show you that night that's going to make your hair turn white, even whiter than it is now. Yep. Right? That ain't nothing compared to what this is. I'm going to show you some video that's going to make you crazy.
It's going to be a whopper of a story, right?
Oh, brother, you have exactly. It's going to be a whopper of a story, all right.
Right.
Absolutely. In 1975, Nettles and Applewhite held meetings in Southern California and Oregon that attracted their initial followers. And those who joined were prepared to drop out of society. Listen to this one. Drop out of society, which is a key element in every cult, and transition to the mothership. There's the mothership you've heard me talk about. All right. Settling in San Diego in 1996, they supported themselves by, as I said previously, by creating websites so followers could offer up their own gate to heaven, hence the name Heaven's Gate. They sold everything from pots and pans to pot-laced brownies for
and t-shirts and caps and socks, you name it, pretty much.
Socks and shirts, yes. They had a wide variety of products and sold a lot of stuff. In early 1997, this is where we were talking off the air, Amelia. We were talking about this. Let me just fill everybody in on what happened before I read this. Okay, so in 1996, 97, around that area, that time frame, we knew in 1996 that scientists were telling us that the comet Hale-Bopp was going to pass by Earth and we would be able to see it, which it did, and which I actually saw it because it came right over New Jersey and straight across. And it was very visible. Beautiful sight, by the way, in the nighttime sky. So we all knew that was happening. But somebody, some crackpot somewhere, got the bright idea, let's tell them there's a UFO chasing the comet. It started as a fucking joke. It was a joke, okay? Because of that joke, 39 people killed themselves, okay? I want you to think about what I just said. In 1997, a rumor circulated among the New Age community that a spaceship was following the Hale-Bopp comet. Now, if that's all it takes for you to believe, then you got some serious mental fucking issues. You got some serious problems. Let's talk about that. Let's go around the horn. I'm going to offer my 2 cents first, and then I'll go to Randy, then Amelia.
Sure.
We'll save the ladies for last. My philosophy, you guys know me. You know me a long time. You know me during the wrestling show. I've got no filter, okay? You know that. And I have no filter here either. They're a bunch of whack jobs with no intellect, maybe more dollars than cents, okay? More dollars than cents. Not enough of their own free will to speak up and say, hey, that's bullshit. Because everybody wants to jump on the bandwagon and go, oh, yeah, I knew about that. Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true what he said. Yeah, that's a spaceship following the comet. And it only takes one person to believe another. That's all it takes. One person to believe another. And you've got mass suicide. Look at Jim Jones. 909 people died. Murdered and killed themselves by suicide. They drank the Kool-Aid, literally. They drank, by the way, that's where we get the expression from. It comes from Jonestown. They drank the Kool-Aid. And they died because of it. Because one man said, drink the Kool-Aid. And they did. If you don't have enough of your own free will, for God's sakes, maybe you need to get out of society. Maybe you're going to do more damage than good. Maybe you need to remove yourself from the problem before it becomes a problem. That's just my take on it. Randy, what do you think?
Well, a lot of people don't realize they have the problem. Okay, they have it. We know it. They don't realize it. That's why I think they don't pull themselves away. As far as people following a person in these cults and that, it only takes 1 or 2 people to start a riot nowadays.
Yeah.
Something happens. Maybe there's a shooting or something else, and they say, okay, let's go. We'll get back at them. We're going to loot our neighborhood and burn it down. Okay. So there's things like that. Not too long ago, there was Waco. Okay, another cult.
We just did Waco.
We
Yeah,
just did that one.
Yeah,
we just did it.
And again, bringing it into terms now. And again, I have no filter either sometimes. So I'll apologize ahead of time if I step on anyone's toes.
Step away, brother.
Don't be afraid. Don't apologize on this show. We can talk like that.
Don't apologize here. This is open forum.
I think there are a lot of cults or groups that people think are cults that may not be. People that think they're not, maybe. Okay.
That's a very valid point.
Most of them are religious groups. Okay.
Yes.
I like to look into that. I like to study that because I'm right on the fence. I guess an agnostic or whatever, I'm not a non-believer by any means.
Right.
But I don't believe everything that I read in this book. There's a lot of things that are just not logic and common sense.
Right.
And when you ask people about it, they say, well, you just have to believe. Bullshit. I have a hard time with believing and with faith. Yeah. Okay. I believe in myself, maybe some people close to me in certain instances, but basically I have a hard time throwing myself into that. Okay. Now my wife,
you're not alone, Randy. You're not alone, brother. Trust me.
My wife is a Jehovah's Witness. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Obviously. So we have some good discussions, believe me.
I'm sure.
But anyways, people think that is a cult. But when you get to know it, it's really not. They're a Christian group. They don't believe in Christmas. The reason is because Jesus wasn't born December 25th.
No.
Sometime in May, supposedly, or something.
Yeah.
They don't believe in Easter Sunday because Easter bunnies and everything. They have what they call as a memorial, which is usually a week or so between Easter, celebrating the same things, the same beliefs. They don't celebrate birthdays, okay? For the reason because they said you should not be celebrated above Jehovah.
Yeah.
The
one thing, though, Randy, the one thing that they do that I vehemently disagree with is they don't believe in medical attention. I have a problem with that, and I'll tell you why. It goes back to when I was a child. I saw a man fall off a roof. And I actually saw him fall off a roof. It was right next to the playground. He happened to be a Jehovah's Witness. And they let that man lay there, writhing in pain, screaming in agony. And we're talking about a grown man just screaming like a small kid. He was he broke many bones. Thankfully, thank God he lived. But that really turned me off to the whole JH thing, the whole Jehovah's Witnesses thing. What I saw, I won't forget. And that prejudiced me toward the Jehovah's Witness community. They don't believe in medical treatment. That's a problem. When life is at stake, that's a problem.
I see now. I haven't seen or heard of that. In fact, my wife's getting her knee replaced pretty soon. Okay. The only thing that I know that they do not believe in is blood transfusions. Something about the blood and somebody else's blood. But nowadays, most hospitals have the synthetic blood that they use. So maybe they have come up a little bit. I don't know, and I'm not defending them. I don't mean to, because I got my own problems with a lot of areas of what they do too.
Yeah.
I like the fact that they don't have preachers or pastors making $2-3 million a year. Okay.
Right. Yeah. Right.
They build their own buildings, with their own people, their own labor and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think they are out there with the right purpose. They have the right intentions.
Yeah.
Okay. But some of them are a little bit wacky. Not quite what normal people would say.
Yeah.
But then again, okay, look at the Catholics. Okay, for instance. And I'm not picking on the Catholics, but they create everybody and everything.
He does.
Take a statue over here, take a bottle of bourbon over here. Whatever it is, it's a saint this or whatever, and there's all kinds of names and everything else.
Bro, let me tell
I
you
always
something.
thought that, you pray to God and there ain't nobody else or nothing else. So,
Bro,
I tell you,
I lost my father. I lost my father in January. My father was the most devout Catholic man you will ever have met in your life. My father left me a legacy of humor and great stories, but he also left me, and I can't show it to you right now. It's actually sitting up here. It's the Blessed Mother statue, this big. Okay. He had statues everywhere. Okay. Now, do I believe that praying to a statue, a ceramic statue, is going to get you any closer to heaven? No, I not for one moment do I believe that. What got my father into heaven, I firmly believe, was his devout belief in Jesus and God. That's what I believe. Contrary to Boston Spencer, who I know, by the way. Spencer, how you doing, brother? It's been a long time. He's an atheist. But does that mean that because he's an atheist and doesn't believe in God, that he's any less important than somebody who does? Not at all. In fact, some of the nicest people I know are atheists because they're not prejudiced by anything. If you want to see prejudice at its best, have a conversation with a Pentecostal church member. Have that conversation if they let you. Okay? If they let you. Because most of the time they don't want to talk to you, they want to fight with you. Well, you're not saved. You don't believe in Jesus. You're going to hell. Lady, I might be going to hell anyway. Who the hell? Who knows? You know?
And it's funny because in the Bible, it doesn't mention hell. They don't talk about hell. They talk about heaven. They don't talk about hell. So these people that are saying you're going to hell or whatever else.
Yeah.
I don't know where they get that, but it's not out of the Bible.
I know it's not. And it's craziness. No. It's craziness.
No, and then a lot of the time they do that. They do that all the time.
Yep.
Go ahead, Amelia.
No, it's like, it's like whenever you tell the story, when you catch a fish, it's this big, but by the time you tell it, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
You tell the story to a person at the beginning of the line.
Yeah.
And by the time it gets to the end of the line, it's a whole nother story.
Yeah, and then it's like you go with your friends and they're gonna say, "Oh, look at that! You're gonna at a bridge. Look at that. That's a piece of gold down there." Yeah, I'm not gonna go jump down that bridge just because it's gonna be a piece of gold. You want it, you go get it. I ain't gonna kill myself for that. Just because you believe it's down there, I'm not gonna believe you. You go ahead and do it. I'm not gonna kill myself just because you say it's there. I'm not gonna believe you it's there. If you want to do it, you do it. I'm not going to be one of those people that's going to believe
the
you
remarkable thing about what we're talking about, Heaven's Gate, is that it's one of those cults, and I'm going to call it what it is. It's a cult.
Exactly.
It's one of those cults that divvied into so many areas. It divvied into Christianity. It divvied into UFOs, science, technology, the afterlife.
Yes.
It hit a lot of different pistons, One of the things is, as the comet approached, the group, which had shrunk down to 39 members by this point, they were in the hundreds of members.
Yes.
But again, it's one of those things where people got smart and they left. And I'll give Marshall Applewhite credit. If they wanted to leave, they could leave. Jim Jones, on the other hand, he made sure you didn't leave because he had everybody in Guyana, South Africa. Where you going to go? You're in the jungle. Where are you going to go?
And he took all their passports too away from them.
Oh well, we're doing a part 2, by the way.
Yeah.
39 members. They took poison in 3 waves of 15, 15, and 9. Apparently, there's something special about the number 39. I don't know what that's all about, but because nobody can explain it. And the belief that the spaceship would arrive to take them to a better place. Now let's talk common sense here. You saw the first of the videos. You're going to see another video now. I want you to take a look at this.
Okay.
Hello?
Yes, I need to report an anonymous tip. Who do I talk to?
Okay. This is regarding what?
This is regarding a mass suicide, and I can give you the address.
The address seemed the unlikeliest of places, a mansion in a quiet, affluent suburb of San Diego.
That place.
I have a gagging reflex with smells, so I wanted to take care of that. So I put cologne on my shirt and put my shirt over my nose.
Rio D'Angelo was the first one to discover the bodies and called 911. 21 women and 18 men had taken their own lives.
Must have been a lot to take in.
It was a lot to take in. It was disturbing because I'm yelling for people to see if they're still alive, and I'm also saying goodbye as I walk through.
It may have been a shock, but D'Angelo had an idea of what to expect. He'd been one of them. In his earlier life, Rio D'Angelo had been Richard Ford. After going through a divorce, he felt lost and was looking for a spiritual path.
That's exactly what you were talking about, Randy. Exactly what you were talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I want to stop it there for a second. One of the reasons I do, it's important that the man you're listening to, his given name was Richard Forbes, but he changed his identity to D'Angelo. Okay, I forgot his first name already. Not really important. What's important, though, I'm not going to give it away yet. What's important is what you're going to hear him say, which blew my mind, okay? But I wanted to stop it there because, again, he seems like an intelligent guy. He seems like he's very well spoken, very articulate, comes from an affluent background. But, again, he's one of these guys that, for whatever reason, felt lost, like he didn't fit in. Let's take a look.
Them, it meant moving on to a more developed kingdom. A spaceship or UFO, he told the group, would pick up their souls and take them to begin their new lives. This is what their new life form would resemble.
It is suicide to not leave. It is to take life to leave this body behind.
D'Angelo bought into the man and his teachings, but after 3 years, he felt something pull him away. He felt there were more things he needed to accomplish. He now believes it was to share his experiences with Heaven's Gate and let people know the truth about its leader.
I can say with absolute undeniable certainty that Doe was the second coming of Jesus, and I know it's true.
Doe instructed the group to look for a sign. It came to them in the night sky. 1997 was the year of the Hale-Bopp comet. In late March of that year, as the comet grew brighter, Doe became convinced the comet was the sign to shed their bodies and exit Earth. Members taped farewell messages. No one appeared the least apprehensive.
This is Hudson. I mean, this is the answer to everything.
For them, exiting their vehicles, as they called it, meant graduation. They bought graduation outfits, black pants and shirts, each adorned with a Heaven's Gate patch. So how do 39 people kill themselves? Well, they created a poison using pudding and applesauce. They laced it with vodka and a drug called phenobarbital, a barbiturate fatal in large doses. They took the poison in shifts and went to sleep, never to wake up. The next day, Rio D'Angelo received a FedEx package with videotapes and a letter saying, quote, "You should be aware that we have exited our vehicles, just as we entered them."
Did you think they would have the nerve or the guts to go through with it?
I knew that they would do what they felt was best for them, and that's what they did.
D'Angelo thought authorities should be notified, but first he needed confirmation. He drove to the mansion from where he was living in Los Angeles. A back door had purposely been left unlocked.
So I walk up into the living area, the living room, and that's when I start to notice the mattresses with people lying on them with the purple shroud. And, of course, I knew from the odor what was happening.
D'Angelo filmed what he saw. The uniformity eerie and striking. They were all in identical positions, face up on a mattress. Everyone wearing their black outfit, Nike shoes, and most covered with purple shrouds. In the master bedroom alone, there was Doe, the leader. The story became a media firestorm. Rio D'Angelo became famous, appearing on the cover of Newsweek. A decade later, he's still a believer, even though Heaven's Gate is no longer around. He says his friends' deaths were not suicides because their souls live on at the next level. He understands what they did, but has no plans to take his own life.
They all knew what they were doing. They all felt very happy about what they did. And they knew where they were going. And they knew who their guide and teacher was.
Dan.
That sick fuck still believes.
He's still brainwashed.
That's how brainwashed he is. They're all dead, but he said, you heard him say from his own lips, he believed that Doe, as Applewhite called himself, Doe was the second coming of Jesus Christ.
Man.
Well, guess what? Who else said that? David Koresh.
Mm-hmm.
Who else said that? Charlie Manson.
Mm-hmm.
Who else said that? Jim Jones.
Yes.
You get what we're saying here, people?
Mm-hmm.
Okay? They
and
can't
Amy
all
Carlson,
be Jesus.
Too.
You know?
But you notice they like look in their eyes or their faces, they all look kind of weird. I mean, whacked out.
Yeah.
There's
There's something else,
that they're in California.
Randy, you brought something up very important. And I'm glad you did. The look on their faces, absolutely. They seemed a little too eager to die.
Yes.
They seemed a little too happy to die. But they all had the same exact haircut.
Yes.
All right? They all had the same haircut, deliberately so. That was, of course, ordered by Doe, that he had his hair like that, so they had to have their hair like that.
Yeah, and also they could be recognized.
He did. Why don't they just call this the follow the leader cult?
Exactly.
Because that's really what it was. Just follow what Screwball was doing.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
This is the most, and I think about this, that 39 people died over a fucking rumor. A rumor. That's what just gets me. And they believed this horse shit. That this guy convinced them, so convincingly he convinced them, that they were willing to die for him. None of us will ever have that loyalty from anyone we know. No one. The closest loyalty I have is probably my dog. And my dog ain't about to give up nothing for me, okay? Especially a meal or a begging shrimp. Here's the point I'm trying to make. I had to break it with a little humor.
Right.
Here's the point I'm trying to make. If you can elicit that kind of loyalty from someone, you got something going for you. But why use it for such negativity? Randy, answer that question for me.
I believe they have an agenda, and I believe that they, at a certain point, start believing what they're saying. They believe it. And, if you believe in something, it's easier to convince other people to believe in it. At first, I'm not quite sure how much he believed in it, but the more he talked, the more he thought about it. It just magnified itself, and it was easy to push it on to maybe weaker-minded people, and that's what.
Well, here's a question for you. It comes from Spencer in the chat room. He's brainwashed, and if it's closed, as the reporter said so, if it's closed, why does he still believe? That's a really good question.
That's some pretty deep brainwashing.
Yeah, well, you heard what the one guy said. They brainwashed him of his humanity.
Yeah.
And he's so soft-spoken, too, that anybody could believe that.
Well,
and how do you get that back?
Carry that on, Amelia. Continue, please.
Yeah, I mean, the way he was just so soft-spoken, the way he was so believable, he didn't sound like preacher-wise. You know how the preachers sound? Like they talk like this, and you better believe me, and the Bible says he wasn't like that. he was just coming to you like a regular normal conversation, and he
Yeah.
sit down with you like, like you're gonna have dinner or whatever, just sit down with you. This is gonna be a comet
Yeah.
coming, if we can do this, this is what's gonna happen. This is the best way to do this. I mean, just talking to you like a son. Maybe he was like that. Maybe he was missing a father figure, and he looked up to him like that, or a brother that he never had, or something like that.
Amelia, got a question for you from Spencer.
Okay.
If the gates is closed, what am I to believe? And why should I think it is right?
That the gates are closed. Why should he think it's right? Because a lot of people still are believing that, and a lot of people still are brainwashed that, and a lot of people still.
But here's the question I think he's really asking is, if they're no longer around, then clearly they're no longer around. Thank God. This guy's walking around with this belief system. Isn't he doing himself more damage than good?
He is.
And where is the right is might aspect of it? He's the only one left, really. That's it.
But the thing is, too, is that
maybe other people. I'm sorry.
He might still believe that what he did is still right, but the thing is that he's still going to always believe that. And the sad part is that he might be as sad as maybe creating the cult again. That could be possible.
Yeah.
That's the sad
I'll
part.
tell you what. I want everybody to take a look at this.
It is Christmas.
Oh, by the way, before I show you this, I don't want to get too far into it.
Oh, okay.
This is footage from inside the house. It's never been seen before.
Oh, wow.
It's never been released before. This was part of a news story that never aired.
And we see a kind of family bustling with activity.
Like you were talking about, Amelia.
In their home videos, everyone's smiling, hugging, laughing. At the stove, a girl from a well-heeled New York neighborhood. She was once a cheerleader. The whole world at her feet.
Because if you do it too fast, it breaks. You're really in pain.
A young man born into a prominent Connecticut family. His future filled with opportunity and wealth.
Are you filming this? No.
The tall man at the door with a blazing smile, once a Colorado businessman, a former political candidate. Another beautiful, quiet smile. He is the brother of a famous actress on an iconic TV show.
Hailing frequencies open, sir.
She is Lieutenant Uhura from Star Trek.
We should have been there 10 minutes ago, sir.
Look at the camera. You look great.
So many people on this tape once high achievers, strivers filled with promise. Now performing a giddy talent show. That's a valedictorian who was once a presidential scholar. So take a closer look at the revelers. Do you notice anything about them? Their haircuts, exactly alike. Baggy clothes, no gender. And with every move, they fix their adoring gaze on one man in the room. They call him Doe.
Marshall Harv Applewhite, Doe, is basically their god.
Who is this man called Doe? And what is the source of his power over highly accomplished people from all over the country? Ohio, Missouri, Minnesota. Listen, he's directing the scene.
Look at the camera. Where's your normals? There. Ah, good.
For more than 20 years, how has he convinced these followers he can lead them through the gates of heaven? He promises they'll be carried to the next level of existence in a UFO. Does he believe what he's saying as he asks them to record video farewell?
That's the question, you guys. Does he believe it? Randy, what do you think?
Yes, I think he does. I think he is convinced and brainwashed himself, just like he did these other people. And there are some prominent people out there on TV today that if they were to turn that magnetism into evil, okay, they could lead cults too. And I'm talking about the Joel Osteens or the Jimmy
I was
Swaggarts.
just about to say to you, Randy, name any television preacher I'll tell you who the most evil is, besides Joel Osteen.
Benny Hinn.
A guy named Kenneth Copeland. He is one evil son of a bitch. I don't like him. I don't think God likes him either. Because this guy, he can tell you word for word the Bible, but he don't like people. And if you're not a Christian, he hates you. He's just an evil guy that's absolutely consumed by money. That's all he cares about is money.
I think they're all that way. They just, some hide it better than others.
Amelia, do you think that Marshall Applewhite believes his own horseshit?
To a point, I think he's making himself believe, because I think that he still wants Bonnie there with him, because I think there's still a little sadness in him.
That's
he's not as happy as he was before.
Let's talk about that right now. That's a critical point. That's a critical point, because Bonnie is really, she's the one that's really the believer.
Yes.
I think he wanted her so badly, he was willing to do anything to keep her, including to convince everyone that he was this Godhead, for lack of a better word. That I think Randy's right. I think he genuinely believes in what he's saying. But I think that there's a motive behind it, as Amelia said.
That's why they were putting on the Christmas shows, doing the dinners and things like that to keep them happy.
But what else does that tell you? It also tells you that there's a sense of family involved here.
Exactly.
You know, you heard what the one woman said in the other tape. Her mother says, "When will I see you?" And the daughter says, "Probably never."
Exactly.
If you said that to your mother, it would crush her.
Oh, of course. She asked me just the other day, "When am I going to see you?" And I said, "Mom, soon."
Right? Here, listen to this.
To Earth, death just hours away. Tapes that raise so many questions about the narrow divide between choice and coercion, faith and delusion.
Tinkerbell warns Peter Pan that every time someone stops believing in little people like her, a little person dies.
People in the world who thought that I had completely lost my marbles, they're not right.
These people who are laughing 24 or 48 hours later ingest poisonous barbiturates and kill themselves with bags tied over their heads.
I got news for you. It wasn't that long. It was 6 hours later they were all dead.
Wow.
6 hours later. Yeah, 6 hours. They made this video. You heard that gentleman, Leo DiCarlo, the fellow in the other video. They sent him the video you just saw of people talking about how wonderful, blah, 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 all this happy horse shit, right? Okay. They sent him that, knowing that he was one of only 2, maybe 3 on the outside. You're going to take a look at this.
Wacko Marshall Applewhite.
You have to trust me. You have to believe me.
Jana Gibbons was a vulnerable 16-year-old when she moved into the mansion. She lived there for 5 years. Now she's talking to ABC's Diane Sawyer.
My guess is 3/4 of the people never set foot out the door, and I was one of them. Ever. Right, and there probably wasn't even any open windows. It was like a little spaceship.
This is never-before-seen home video inside the cult, where every minute was controlled, including when and how they slept.
We were divided into 3 shifts. 3 people shared a bed.
Showers were cut off at 6 minutes. There were also rules about not talking. Jana says she went for years without speaking. Finally, she was permitted to find work as a waitress.
Luckily, we did start restaurant jobs at the very end, because I hadn't spoken probably in 4 years.
That taste of freedom convinced Jana it was time to escape.
39 to beam up. Thank you.
These giddy farewell videos were recorded by the cultists, knowing they were about to commit mass suicide. They were brainwashed into believing Earth was about to be destroyed, and they had to board an alien spaceship that would transport them to a higher level of existence.
Your only chance to survive
Look at his
or
eyes.
evacuate is to leave.
Just take a look at this guy's eyes.
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, he's got these like fucking bug eyes. I think if you look at his eyes, here's what he's doing. And Randy, you'll relate to this. It's like a guy in wrestling cutting a promo and he forgot what he's going to say. Now he's like, look at the eyes. He's like looking into the camera, trying to. He's going, all right, what do I say next? Like, okay, okay, because I'm completely fucked up now.
He's lost.
Now I got to say something, and so that's what he's doing right now. That's what it looks like.
With us.
Among the dead, the brother of Star Trek legend Nichelle Nichols.
I'm the happiest person in the world.
As for Jana Gibbons, she says she's lucky she survived Heaven's Gate.
You have to decide, what am I going to believe? What am I not going to believe? I made the decision to leave.
You have to trust me. You have to believe me.
The entire.
Would you believe that? Brother,
He's
let
like
me tell you something.
begging them.
I wouldn't believe you. I wouldn't trust you. Not with that fucking face. Okay, it's Boston says, him as a cult leader, his type makes people like me an atheist. You're absolutely right, brother. You know what? There's more truth in that than you realize. I don't trust none of these millionaire preachers. And that's exactly what he was. That's exactly what he was. He was a millionaire preacher, if you want to call it that. That's pretty much what he was. Look at this. You see the house they lived in?
Oh, yes.
It's a $40 million house in San Diego, California. You won't find a house like that in Beverly Hills. I got news for you. That place was huge. And it had 16 acres of property, prime real estate. You know? You can't, and I say it every week. Let people
can't make this shit up.
You can't make this shit up. I tell them every week. You can't make this shit. Like, people don't even, they say, well, where do you come up with this stuff? You just saw a news clip of where I came up with this shit, okay? All Amelia and I do, we take what's out there and we introduce you to it.
And we research and research
and we research the shit out of it. Because we don't do nothing here without research.
Exactly.
And I'm going to tell you something. There's a lot out there. Here's the thing. Let me read this to you. Okay, here we go. Prior to the event, the members of the group made a video. We just watched it. A video explaining their individual reasons for their chosen path. You will see that video tonight, which you just did. Here's about Marshall Applewhite. This is from his sister. And I want you to listen to this very carefully. He was usually president of everything, said Applewhite's sister Louise. He was always a born leader and very charismatic. He could get people to believe anything. Now, that should tell you everything you need to know. I'm going to read that again. He was usually president of everything, said Applewhite's sister Louise. He was born a leader and very charismatic, and he could get people to believe anything. That's a scary kind of guy to be around. Okay? That's scary to be around. Because a guy like that is a dangerous cat. That's a dangerous kind of guy. Let's talk about, Randy, the video that we just watched. What struck you in watching that news report? What was the one thing that you want to take away from it?
I just see so many similarities from then to certain instances and people here, you know, the big mansions, very charismatic, no problem talking people into things, making them believe it. And when they made their last farewell video, they were all smiling. They're all happy. Oh, good. You know, I'm going to kill myself. Of course, they didn't think it ended there, like a lot of people, you know, like me don't. But it just intensified everything that he was saying that was absorbed by these cult members, and how they really threw their whole life into it and wouldn't look here. They had no ability to reason or to question or anything. They're just an empty box up here.
And that's it. You just nailed it. That's exactly what they are, Randy. Empty vessels, empty boxes is a great way to put it.
Exactly.
Good. And that's what these guys want. I'll give you a great example of what Randy just talked about. We mentioned this man's name on the show the other night, and the preacher that we had, Pastor Steve. When I mentioned this guy's name, he went, "Oh no." He went like that. His name is Robert Tilton. Pastor Robert Tilton, a TV evangelist. The guy who, you can't make this stuff up. I'll give you a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Here you go. He would send you a card. Okay? Nothing on it, a card. But he would tell you that the card was blessed with holy oil. All right? And he would fleece, and I'm going to use that word purposely, he would fleece people out of their money, particularly little old blue-haired ladies out of their Social Security checks every month. He would rob these people, and they gave him money to do it. They paid him. They emptied their Social Security at their bank accounts for this guy. Here you go. Here's what they would do. Here you go. They take some water, okay? Slap it on the card, mail it out. Okay, it's holy water now. Okay? You fucking kidding me? For real? Are you shitting me? Another thing that he was famous for, sending you a piece of cloth that was supposedly like holy, like a little, like, I don't even know what to call it, a rag or like something stupid, like a piece of like a handy wipe, right? But it was holy. It was because it was blessed, whatever the fuck that means. Okay, it was blessed with holy water or holy oil, and they would send you like a little, like a trinket to wear, like a little button,
pendant or something,
you know, like to praise the Lord or whatever the hell it said. Okay, something stupid like that. Because I knew people that were into him big time back then. You know, I knew a guy, I knew him very well for a long time too. His name was Frank Yeager. Frank, if you're still around out there, let me know. Frank Yeager was part of the PTL club. Jim Baker and Tammy Baker. He worked with them. This guy told me all the secrets of the trade, all the tricks of the trade, what they do to separate you from your money. It's fucking scary how they separate people from their money. What's worse, though, is separating people from their family. Because I got news for you. You separate me from my money, I'll make more money. That's not a problem because I know how to make money. What I don't know how to do is get my family back.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay? That's the problem. That's the problem, Amelia. Talk about.
Exactly, because like if you're going to separate or want to separate, you know, I understand you're probably going through something. You're a loner. There are organizations that can help you. There are therapists that can help you. Go to a therapist. Go to someone else. Go if you're in school. Go to your teacher. Go to your counselor at school. Go to your principal. Do not believe somebody that says, "Come to my house. Go to my organization." There you can find peace. There we can help you. We're one big happy family. Don't do that. If you're not wanting to go to your parents or go to an aunt and uncle, go to like I said, a school. Find somebody like that. Find a therapist. Don't go to an organization like that because they're just gonna lie to you and eventually you're gonna end up dead.
I think it's very important what you're saying on a couple of levels.
Yes.
Here's why I think it's important, and thank you for letting me interject for a moment.
Oh, please go ahead.
I think it's critical because a lot of times when you get involved in these groups, once you're in, you can't get out.
You cannot get
You
out.
heard what that woman said. She was inside this place for 5 years before she ever saw the outside world.
Sometimes you cannot get out. The only way you can get out is by either committing suicide or murder, and you don't want that. Your family don't want
in
that.
her case, what was advantageous for her was that she got a job. Because they needed the money.
Exactly.
You know, somebody had to be working there, right?
Right.
I mean, you know, they had a lot of trust fund babies. Let's be honest about it. Okay,
right.
There was a lot of money there.
I do have a success story, though. I did help somebody get out recently. She thought that her dad was keeping her hostage, or that she had cameras. Her dad was watching her, and I said, "Well, get an aunt." She says, "Well, my aunt is coming from out of town." And I said, "Well, have her take you somewhere."
Yeah,
Get
you
where
got
she
to be
can.
careful with that kind of stuff because, especially if she's talking about, you know, my father's got hidden cameras. I would be concerned about incest. I would be concerned about the father trying to rape his daughter.
No, what
You
had
know?
happened is that the dad wouldn't let her go anywhere because the dad would keep an eye on her, basically not let her go anywhere.
Well, in other
basically.
words, keeping her prisoner inside the
Yes.
house.
Yes.
Randy,
And
your thoughts, my friend?
Well, on the two subjects that you talked about, first of all, sending little pieces of cloth and holy water and all that kind of stuff. Very subtly, they still do that today. Not only through the mail, but how many times you turn on the TV and you get this long SPCA thing, see these poor animals, making you just feel so sorry for them that you send them money. There are just things like that. Again, with the mail things that still come in from the thing. How many times you get those little return address stickers? They send them to you and ask you to send them back money in that.
Brother, I got news for you. I get them every month.
Oh, yes, we do.
Every month.
Yeah. So it's the same thing. It's still going on as far as collecting money, as well as the churches, you know, whether it be passing the tithe thing or sending money into a Joel Osteen, you know, to keep him in his Rolls Royces and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Joel Osteen's church, I don't know if people understand this, but Joel Osteen, his church, quote unquote church, is actually an arena.
Yes.
It's a 25,000 seat arena. That's his church. Okay. People don't understand that. It's like going to a wrestling venue and seeing 25,000 people.
Yes.
Like at Madison Square Garden or someplace like, you know, or the old Spectrum. Right. That's how big this place is. It's like bigger than the Garden. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about a preacher whose church is a fucking arena. And they give him money hand over fist.
And he has them hollering and screaming in the aisles, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And watch, because out of those, because I've watched one or two of his shows just to take notes and stuff. Just like Jim Jones, a lot of his believers are black, Hispanic, minorities. You'll see white people there, but you're going to see a whole lot more black people.
Oh, definitely.
And a lot of Hispanic people. You know?
Yes.
Because the blacks and Hispanics, they're spiritual people. They love God. They believe in God. And I'm not saying that Joel doesn't believe in God, but he believes in money a hell of a lot more than he believes in God. If he believed in God that much, he'd give his Rolls Royce away, but you don't see him giving his Rolls Royce away or emptying his Olympic-sized swimming pool in his backyard, do you? You know?
Or loaning his place when they had that hurricane there one time. He said that, oh, no, it was flooded, and they went in there, and it wasn't even flooded at all.
Yeah, I know.
Can you believe that?
You know, I don't watch him, but like you, I turn him on every once in a while for entertainment value.
Yeah.
And there's another one like him, Jesse Duplantis is his name.
Oh God, Jesse's been around forever.
Yeah, out of Louisiana. Jesse is so cool, but you can't help but like him. But he's wanting to send money because he needs a new airplane.
Well, here's the thing about Jesse that people don't get. And I can tell you a little bit about this because I lived in Tennessee for 15 years. Okay. These Southern preachers are better than anybody because here's what they got going for them. It's that fucking hillbilly accent. People love that because they're funny and they make you laugh and they make you smile. They do. I'll tell you who's great for that. There's a black bishop named T.D. Jakes.
Oh, big TD, yeah.
TD, you know what I'm talking about?
Sure do.
He's the same way, but that man's a believer, though. He believes. But he's still got a hell of a line of bullshit that he tells people.
And he sells a lot of books.
And sells a lot of books and pockets all the fucking money. Every penny of it.
Oh, yeah.
Every penny of it.
I once had to do a call like that in a country accent because she thought that I was from up north or something. And she did not like the way I spoke. She said she wanted me to talk like I was from Tennessee. And I said, ma'am, I can't do that. She goes, please, please. So I had to do my whole spiel in a country accent.
Do your whole spiel with a Southern accent?
I did. I did. I had to talk like that the whole time.
I said, lady, go fuck yourself. You ain't paying me enough money.
I said, you want me to talk like this?
I got one more video. Let's check it out.
We're going to talk to you about the most urgent thing that is on our mind and what we suspect is the most urgent thing on the minds of those who will connect with us. We'll title this tape Planet Earth About to be Recycled. Your only chance to evacuate is to leave with us. Planet Earth about to be recycled. Your only chance to survive or evacuate is to leave with us. Now you keep saying us. Who do you think you are? Well, I, in all honesty, must acknowledge my father. My father is not a human father. My father is a member of the evolutionary level above human, the kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven. My father gave me, long before this civilization, gave me birth into that kingdom level above human, that kingdom of heaven, that kingdom of God. Now you can say, well, I can't believe that. Well, it's up to you whether you believe that or not. That's not important to me, even though I wish that you could believe it for your sake. For those who do believe it, stand a possibility of a future beyond this recycling time.
Wow.
Okay. That was, I saved that for last. That was the wow one. Okay. This is where he acknowledges that he's a deity, that he's a god. Okay. He didn't come right out and say he's God. He says, I am, how did he say? I am my father's, right? How he said it.
Yeah.
But here's the subtle thing, which, and I want you to understand what he did. He said, I wish you could believe us. Okay. I want you to believe us. You don't have to, but I would like you to believe us for your sake. Well, first of all, what's believing him going to do for you other than make you look really fucking stupid for this guy with the crazy wild eyes and the goofy haircut that has this, like, his eyes are like fucking, like, look like saucers. They're bugged out like this, right?
Bulgy.
You know, and it looks like, you know, somebody goosed him in the ass with a hot poker, you know,
right?
Like one of them.
For our sake, what, he's going to heaven, we're all going to hell or something.
Yeah, right.
it looked like I was watching a science show in high school again. Like, okay, where's the rest of the science projects?
Oh, here you go. Olstein's church. The Houston Summit is his church. It's a fucking huge arena.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? There's validation. And you think I'm making this shit up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So people don't understand. I do my research. Okay?
Yes, he does. I can swear
This
he
is
does.
crazy. His church is a fucking arena.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I wasn't sure of what the name was. That's why I didn't
Mm-hmm.
put the name up. But here's the point, though. And by the way, thank you, Facebook user. They didn't put their name up there. I don't know why they do that. Did we put this one? Oh yeah, we did that already from Boston Spencer. I'm glad he joined us tonight too.
Yes.
So what did we learn tonight, Randy?
Well,
about Heaven's Gate and Marshall.
Well, if it confirmed the fact that he's a wacko.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. He's speaking of so many things. Like I think he's trying to play the Jesus card. You know, where
absolutely
his father is the God, so you got to go through me. You know.
Exactly. He's putting himself into Jesus mode. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think that it just points out how many boxhead people are out there looking for something else.
Yeah.
Now, the fact that they have a lot of money maybe passed down, whatever, has nothing to do with where they're at mentally.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
and that's a valid point, and and thank you for validating the point that I made earlier. All the money, all the education, all the privilege that these people had in life still made them vulnerable.
Absolutely.
It made them stupid, and I'm just going to say what it is. They're stupid. Okay. It deprived them. It drained them. It what's the other word I want to use?
Brainwashed them.
It eviscerated them of humanity, of intellect, of emotion. They all looked like fucking robots. Every one of them looked the same. Like they had no sex. They all looked like carbon copies of one another.
I wonder how many guys castrated themselves.
With no emotion, nothing.
They all did. All the men did. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Read the history. Oh, God. Yeah. Yep.
I know he wanted them to, but I didn't know that they did.
They had one of them was a doctor. You saw it in the video. He was a doctor. Yeah. He had his gloves on and everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't make this shit up, folks.
No, you cannot.
I have the video to prove it. Okay? And people, Amelia, how often do we go through this?
Every single time.
Put video up front for people to see.
You do your research. You look everything up because you cannot make that shit up. I mean, you can't. It's right
he
there.
always does. Even in the old days, he did. And that's what endeared me to Angelo.
Yeah.
He knows that.
Yes.
Yeah.
He knows his stuff, people. I mean, because he wouldn't put anything up there if it wasn't true. Trust me.
I think I know wrestling stuff, and he runs circles around me.
Oh, yes.
You know, here's the thing. I do this show, and Amelia and I talked about this before. We do this show for a couple of reasons. First of all, we really enjoy doing it.
Yes.
That's number one, because you have to like what you're doing. But the bigger, more important reason we do the show is to educate and inform those who think they already know. Because just when you think you know something, there's something else about that you don't know. For example, I'll give you a perfect example. I know the Bible pretty well. But am I an expert? Would I call myself a Bible scholar? No. But I know the Bible pretty good. But there's somebody else out there who knows the Bible a hell of a lot more than I do, to the point where I could learn from them and ask questions of them. And that's why we do the show here. We do the work for you. Okay?
And Endo taught me a lot that I didn't know.
But this show, hold on a minute. But this show it's like a textbook. I want you to save these shows, download them. Thank you, by the way, for 500 subscribers on YouTube.
Yes.
I appreciate that. We're doing really well with YouTube. We're doing even better, however, with Podbean and our radio station, because we're blowing the friggin' lid off of that shit. Wow. Because we see the numbers all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Trust me. Good stuff. But I want to do these shows to educate people, inform them of what you think you know. Maybe you don't know what you think you know. Maybe there's stuff out here that you need to be re-educated on. Charles Manson was a great example.
Oh, yes, it was.
Because I found out things about Manson that I didn't know until I did the show.
Mm-hmm. I learned a lot more.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know a lot of stuff either.
Do you remember what Roddy Piper said? Once you think you got the answers, I change
the questions. Absolutely. Absolutely. He also said, don't throw rocks at a man carrying a machine gun. And that's a very appropriate way to end the show.
Right.
That's what you know, let's be honest about it. Marshall Applegate was throwing stones at God.
Exactly.
But God has a big old machine gun.
Yes.
And took them all down. They think they committed suicide. They didn't commit suicide. God took their asses out. And I assure you, ladies and gentlemen, he did not put them aboard the good ship Lollipop, and they did not sail away.
Exactly. And also what this show it will do as well is what the government is wanting to take the history away from you. We will bring it back. Trust me.
We are bringing it back.
We will not let you forget the history.
We're not going to let you forget history. And I'm
America
not. One thing that we have vowed on this show, and thank you, Amelia, for bringing that up. Thank you for bringing that up. We will never allow anyone to rewrite history.
Exactly.
Because I'll give you a perfect example. There's a video, and this is a dumb example, but it's a perfect example. Many years ago, Sally Field, the actor Sally Field, won an Academy Award for a movie she did. I think it was called Harlan County War. Okay. She gave her acceptance speech, and what she said was, and this is exactly what she says. She said, "You like me, you really like me." Okay.
I remember that.
All right, now, if you go look for that, you won't find it. What it says is, because they dubbed it, what it says now is, "Oh, you like me a lot." It says, "Oh, you like me a lot." It doesn't look right, and it doesn't sound right. I had to find that. I found the original video. And because what they did, Randy, was they scrubbed it off the internet. But I have a hard copy of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know what they tried to do for Columbus Day? They wanted to change it to Indigenous Day instead of Columbus Day.
Indigenous Day, yeah.
Yeah, can you believe that? No, to me, it's going to be Columbus
Day. It's always going to be Columbus
Period.
Day.
Exactly.
You know why? Because Columbus was Italian.
Yes.
People don't understand this. Christopher Columbus, the asshole that he was, that's one thing. But he was Italian.
Yes.
Okay. It was his navigator that founded this country. Okay. His name was America Vespucci. Our country is named after an Italian. People don't understand that, and that's the truth. Okay. People need to get their fucking history straight.
Yes.
Okay. This country hates Italians, and we're going to do a show on it.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I'll write that down as well.
Because I got news for you. I'm fucking fed up. Okay.
Oh, yeah. We're going to do a show about that.
Everything. Hold on, Amelia. I'm tired of everything I say and do has got to be compared to the mafia. Because my name ends in a vowel doesn't mean I'm in the fucking mafia. Okay? It means my name ends in a fucking vowel. That's it. Oh man, this is the kind of crazy stuff. Okay. Let me see if I can find this.
Yes.
This Sally Field thing here. Hold on. Nah, I can't find it. It's around here, but I'm not going to go crazy looking. Anyway, what I'm trying to make is, actually, you know what? I actually do have it out. It's on a show that we did with Mike Messier. Called the Mandela Effect. Or Glitch in the Matrix. What was it? Anyway,
that one when you went on vacation.
Go on our YouTube or Podbean and look it up. It's out.
Oh yes, you have to do it to look it up.
Crazy looking. Well, I'll tell you what, Randy. What did you think of your first time
debut?
I love it, man. It's been an hour and a half, and it feels like it's been about 10 minutes. You know, again, you are a throwback to what you were a couple of years ago when we were talking and stuff. You do your research. You're smart. You haven't lost your brain yet. Okay, you're not drooling down your chin yet. Okay,
we're still there.
Amelia, you're a wonderful asset to the show.
Well,
also,
thank you so much.
I just can't wait to get back.
Did you see that? He said you're a wonderful ass to the show. I mean, I'm kidding. I'm busting the job. Well, I'll tell you what. We are going to have Randy with us. Pretty much every Tuesday we can grab him. Thursdays we're going to try and grab Charlie Norris, our friend from WCW. Charlie will be with us, by the way, on November the 1st. That is November 1st is the first day of Native American History Month.
Yes.
Charlie is, of course, Native American, real Native American, not just, a gimmick Indian. He's a real American, Native American Indian. And he's a good friend of the show. And Charlie is going to be joining us on that particular night. It's going to be a good night. And Randy will be with us. So it's going to be two wrestlers and two podcast people.
Right, that's right. And I'm still a wrestling fan. Back in the day, wrestling too. So.
Old school, yeah.
Old school wrestling.
Yeah, like as a young kid talking about old school.
Yeah, she is. She is young. She's my wife's age. She's like 51, 52. How are you?
I'll be 51 in November. Yep.
Yeah, Nina's 52.
I got a daughter going to be 49.
I got a daughter that's 40, brother. I got news for you. Yeah, for real. Well, I'll tell you what. For Randy Hogan, for Amelia, the Pitbull Chapman, I'm Angelo Mad Dog DeCipio. We'll see you next time, everybody. Take care. Every Tuesday, every Thursday for What's the Buzz. Good night.
Good